Hello traders, good morning. This is Mohammed Yaoud from ONEPRO, and today is the live session to discuss the market analysis. It has been quite some time since we had any live sessions, especially on YouTube. We used to do this live analysis session on our social media and especially on the Facebook page. Today we are back to discuss the markets and analyze the possible movements, what is happening in the markets, and how could we trade in the markets given the current volatility and the current, let's say, doomed economic view as an overall, what's happening on the US dollar, gold, indices, etc. We will be discussing this throughout this video. So if you have any questions during the live session, please drop a comment on YouTube, and I'll make sure that by the end of the session, we will get all of your questions covered. So let's start quickly by having a quick look on the economic agenda for today. Today is basically Thursday, the 19th of Jan. So let's see if do we have any important news or economic releases that we expect to affect the markets or not. That we will be looking at in a moment. Starting off with the economic agenda for today, and it's Thursday, the 19th of January. We can see that we do have a long economic agenda for today. However, we can see it's not so important. Not big risk events are expected to take place today. However, the most important things to look for, of course, we had some key employment numbers from the Australian economy. We can see that when it comes to the employment change, it came in around 14.6 thousand or negative 14.6 thousand. So it is showing some bearish numbers here, as well as the unemployment rate. It basically went higher a little bit during the past month. And going forward, what we do await highly that should affect the markets is basically the ECB President Christine Lagarde's speech. So today, Christine Lagarde should be giving a speech, and this is during the World Economic Forum, or one of the activities held there in Davos. So yeah, markets are looking for any hints from Christine Lagarde about the possible monetary policy stance during the next future or the near future. What is expected from the ECB? Because it's quite debatable at the moment whether they will be having 25 basis points or maybe 50 basis points. That we will be trying to get out any hints from her speech, whether they are hawkish or dovish, whether they expect more rate increases or not during this year. So this is something really that I do personally expect to affect the euro trading during the day. We also have the monetary policy meeting accounts for the past meeting from the ECB as well. So it's quite an important day on the euro. Going forward, we also have some important key data on the US dollar, which includes the unemployment claims for the previous week. And I don't really believe that this will have any major impact, because the unemployment claims during the past, let's say, couple of weeks, we can see this on the chart here. It hasn't been changing quite a lot. It changes, but little differences. There is no big volatility on the markets when it comes to the unemployment claims. So the previous reading was basically 205. Expectation is 215, so or 214. So we are expecting just about the same range or average for the previous couple of weeks. If, however, something happens and we see a big spike to the upside or to the downside, only then we can have a major impact on the US dollar. But this is something I don't personally believe. Having a look on the housing market today, basically we'll be having the building permits as well as the housing starts. Not so important information on the short term. However, on the medium and long term, of course, it provides some hints about the housing and real estate markets in the US, which is one of the few sectors to dive deep into a recession before the economy. So it could be used as a gauge, or let's say as an indicator of whether the whole economy will dive into a recession or not. The most important thing, or basically two things I'll be looking for during today's trading, should be the crude oil inventories numbers, especially that we had a great spike during the previous week. We had a 19 million barrel extra in the inventories during the last week, which was a great surprise to the markets, and that's why we're having some bearish pressure on the US crude oil specifically. So after what happened during the past uh, week, we will be looking for those numbers again, whether they will normalize again around the same 2 or 3 million barrels plus or minus, or we will have another high number. Only then we will be having some great selling pressure on the US crude oil. The other thing, and the last thing I would like to mention, should be the speech by the FOMC member Williams today. Of course, during this period, let's say during the first quarter of 2023, any speech by a federal member or a Federal Reserve member should basically be taken as a high risk event, because one comment here or there, one hint, should basically be used directly to impact the markets and expectations of the next Federal Reserve meeting, which should be on the 1st of February. So basically, that's it for the economic agenda today. Yeah, we have quite a lot of information to be following up with you. You can basically follow us on LinkedIn, because as soon as those numbers or data are released, we definitely post it on our social media, including Telegram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and all of our other social media platforms. So make sure that you don't miss those numbers. That was all for the economic agenda, and let's quickly have a look on the technical analysis. Again, I'm telling, if you have any questions, please leave it in the comments and I'll make sure to get it covered by the end of the session. Let's have a look on the technical analysis and the charts. Starting, of course, with the US dollar index. What do we have on the dollar index? And starting with the multi-time frame analysis or the top-down analysis, we can see that on the daily time frame, basically the dollar index is trading around a make or break level. Why is that? Because since the upward trend that started on January 2021, basically the dollar has been trending to the upside. However, this downward move that started probably on October of last year currently reached levels of 50% Fibonacci retracement. This should be more clear on the on the weekly time frame. So this retracement is right now around 50% of Fibonacci, which is definitely a key level to look for. Not only this, however, this level was also a previous resistance. You can see here prices weren't able to go ahead those levels on December 16 and again on March 2020. And when we finally broke above those levels, we are back right now to retest those previously resistance levels. Right now, they should serve as very, very strong support along with the 50% Fibonacci. So as I mentioned, it's a make or break level. I personally believe what will happen is prices should definitely bounce to the upside, because even if the dollar index will continue to move lower, supported by a hawkish Federal Reserve. However, at the end of the day, this support level should definitely just have a quick reaction to the upside. And we are talking about a weekly time frame. So the move to the upside should provide some very good buying opportunities on the short time frame. I mean, maybe the daily and the 4 hours. Okay. Going down on the 4 hour, we can see here that the support is already providing prices here with some sort of support, because we failed to break below those levels once. Again, we failed to break those levels or below those levels on the 18th of Jan, which was yesterday. This is a very good hammer candlestick. It shows bullish price action here, and it shows that on the long term or maybe on the medium term, we will be having a move to the upside. However, things get a little bit choppy on the 1 hour time frame, because although we do see that on the 4 hour time frame, this is a sideways range, it's not a perfect sideways. And let me tell you, it's the worst pattern of a sideways range, which is this, broadening formation. This is what's expected on the US dollar. So the US dollar was expected to go higher. However, just around the levels of equilibrium, we can see here that we have some resistance just below the levels of 102.50. So prices were not able to break above those levels. And that's why in our technical report, we are expecting that basically during the day, the dollar index might move lower during the day. If you're gonna trade on the US dollar, we are basically bearish on the US dollar during the day to the levels of 101.93, and in the best case scenario, we would be targeting 101.77. So from here, we're talking about a possible brilliant 50 pip move to the downside. So that was for the dollar index. It's quite a little bit choppy. However, my view on the dollar index is supported by the better look on the euro, because the same that we explained on the dollar index on the higher time frame has exactly the opposite on the euro as well on the weekly time frame. But in this case, we are having a very strong resistance level just around the 50% Fibonacci. It's 1.0950 roughly. So yeah, those levels are as well expected to push the euro to the downside a little bit on the long time frame. However, on the short, the daily, this is now a clear trading range. We have a clear support and a clear resistance. It's a brilliant sideways range, buy low and sell high. So currently prices are just trading above the support. We had just reached those levels by the beginning of the European session. And yeah, we are expecting to go higher on the euro. During the day, I have my targets around 1.0867. As soon as prices move 50% off the sideways range, just about here, where you can see this price action taking place, this is the equilibrium level. Because whenever you have a sideways range, buyers and sellers, exactly like this one, so you have prices going up, back again down, up, here halfway through to the equilibrium, up again, down, up, equilibrium, up, and so on. So whenever you reach the equilibrium again, which is around 1.0825, this is when you move your stop loss into a break even, just to make sure it's a risk free trade, and you raise your target to the levels of 1.0867. This is how I will be playing the euro out today. Let's see how it plays. The pound as well is a little bit bullish. However, it is basically more bullish than the euro, because it's a clear uptrend. We are having some sort of higher highs and higher lows. Currently, the prices are in a clear retracement. However, I believe that maybe at this retracement will be reaching a little bit lower to this support around 1.23 roughly. From here, I'll be adding to my long positions on the pound versus the US dollar, and I'll be targeting the previous resistance or the previous high. This should be an intraday trading, so we are looking at around roughly 1.2430. What if prices never went down to the support and started moving higher from here? This is a possible scenario. So in this case, you might basically divide your position into smaller positions. So if you are trading with one lot, let's say, maybe you can add only 50% of that. So it's only half a lot from here. And if prices went this extra move to the downside, you can then add to your position the other half. So you are now fully into your position, but by dividing this and adding to your position bit by bit. That's for the pound versus the US dollar. And for the dollar versus the Japanese yen, of course, we have been seeing what's happening on the Japanese yen since yesterday, after the Bank of Japan decided to leave the monetary policy as it is. No change has been taking place. The same interest rates below zero has been maintained, and the yield curve control has been left unchanged. So this basically disappointed the markets in the Japanese yen a little bit, and we had this upward move, which was supported by a very weak Japanese yen after, yeah, I mean this move. After the meeting directly, the Japanese yen lost a lot of its strength and moved this down upward move. However, it retraced back. So the overall picture on the US dollar is a little bit choppy as well. However, supported by a bullish dollar index or a bearish dollar index, a bullish euro and a bullish pound, we do expect a bearish dollar yen. However, I don't really have my targets so far away. I'm just looking for a downward move to 127.47, so around 70 pips I'll be looking for during the day. That's for the dollar versus the Japanese yen. The pound versus the Japanese yen. I haven't looked at this so far for quite some time now. However, it seems to me it is again moving in a sideways range. So yeah, we have our resistance on the 4-hour time frame around 161.50, let's say, and the support around 155.75 roughly. We are in a clear sideways range again. Buy low and sell high. This is something I'll be looking for. During the day, we will be expecting a move lower to the levels of 155.60 or 155.50 roughly. And from here, we will be waiting for some bullish price action to go long one more time by buying low and selling high. Between those levels of support and resistance, professionals don't trade. They just leave the market for the amateurs to buy and sell, lose their money probably, and so on. However, if you have a clear sideways range, just wait on side, wait for the price to go near support or near resistance, wait for the confirming price action, and off you go. What's happening on the gold is basically interesting here because we have had a brilliant upward move during the past week. It started this week with a retracement here, which was a clear price channel. I cannot say it's a flag or it took the shape of a flag. However, yeah, it's on an hourly time frame, so we can definitely say it's a flag or price channel. It depends on what you name it. However, it was a clear retracement down here, up, down, until we broke to the upside. We had a retracement, and here we go. We are expecting a bullish move on the gold trading for more than one reason. One is basically this flag broken above, retested, and starting to move higher. The second thing is here we can see a clear higher high, and here we can see also a higher low. So this downward move is now reversing into not an upward move, but let's say at least during the day we are looking for the previous high just here around the 1921.45 during the day, which should give us around 90 pips of a move on gold during the day. It's something it's definitely worth it because I can see some imbalance here. This downward pressure that took place yesterday in only 3 hours, gold lost around 90 or even 100 pips or even more. Let me see. It was, yeah, around 100. Oh, it was 200 pips. Yeah, from 1921 to 1901. So $20 or 200 pips during 3 hours. So it's kind of an imbalance. So prices should retrace a little bit of that and even cover this imbalance during the day till the levels of 1921. So this is how it works. Markets are basically great today. I can see a lot of trading opportunities. Yesterday, it wasn't the best day. Yesterday, we had this brilliant ups and downs in the markets, supported by what's happening on the Japanese yen. However, markets today are a little bit calm, offering some good trading opportunities. What's happening on the US crude oil is on the weekly time frame. Okay, we have reached a very strong support. A very strong support with a retracement of 50% Fibonacci, with a very great, or let's say one of the greatest bullish divergences I can see. This is something I can definitely say oil is gonna move to the upside on the medium and the long term. However, let's see what's happening on the short term, on the daily, and maybe even on the 4-hour time frame. The consolidation at the moment taking place on the 4-hour time frame near the support levels are basically or is taking some sort of a symmetrical triangle here. So you can see lower highs and higher lows, some sort of indecision around the support. Yesterday, prices tried to break a little bit to the upside. I wouldn't really name this as a false breakout, but a premature breakout, because I believe prices will eventually break up to the upside, because we do have a support resist on the higher time frame. However, prices didn't continue the move yesterday. So during the day, it might be a little risky to go bearish on the US oil. Okay, it might go to target the lower limit of the US crude oil. However, what if prices just stopped here and broke to the upside? My personal suggestion is wait for the US crude oil to break above this previous high. Only then you can go long for a medium term swing trade that would be very rewarding. Bear in mind, as we agreed, we do have the US crude oil inventories today, and it should definitely affect the volatility on the crude oil trading. So let's wrap up this video today with the Dow Jones, which is basically a brilliant resistance on the daily time frame. One touch, the other touch here was a false breakout, another third touch, and off we go to the downside. Of course, this is supported by some weak earnings session from the US, especially Goldman Sachs, a huge miss of revenues and profits. However, we just treat what technicals say. I believe on the daily time frame, we are still gonna go lower to target the levels of 32,470. Some sort of a double top here is emerging in my opinion. I cannot confirm this until the neckline has been broken to the downside. However, let's try to expect what markets do. On the short time frame, yeah, it's a brilliant move to the downside. Yes, I do believe we can continue lower during the day. However, I will personally wait for any move lower for a retracement before adding to my short positions. Because simply, if you're not short on the Dow Jones by now, it might be a little bit late. You never go short after a brilliant around more than 1,000 pips, or roughly around 1,000 pips. It's too late to go short right now. If you want to ride this brilliant swing, just wait for a little bit of a correction to the upside. Only then you can ride what's remaining in this downward move on the Dow Jones and target this key support here. Look how many times prices failed to broke below. Let's say around the levels of 32,800 should be a very good target on the short term on the Dow Jones. So that was all for today's market analysis session. We discussed a lot of things: the dollar, the euro, the pound, the dollar yen, the gold trading, oil, what's happening with the pound yen, and so on. So if you have any questions after we end this session, you can leave it in the comment section below. And I'll make sure our analysts and the market research team will follow up with you personally on all of your requests if you need any personal or a specific analysis on one sort of pair, because it's typically impossible to analyze all of the market in one session. We haven't looked on the franc, we haven't looked on the New Zealand, Australian, and so on. So if you have any specific pair that you are familiar with and you trade often, please leave it in the comments. We'll provide you with our technical view on what's happening in the markets. Of course, if you're doing your own personal research, it's just a complimentary thing from ONEPRO to provide you with a professional technical view from our side. Thank you so much, and we will meet up again tomorrow on YouTube. I'm excited for tomorrow's session. Make sure that if you have any questions, contact us back with it, and please stay safe.